Hi Diamond Bar, my name is Andy Williams, and today I'm going to be showing you how to do some printmaking. So this is just a sample here of what we're going to be making today. Let's go ahead and talk about our supplies. So today's craft is really easy, and this is a really great one to do with your kids. So you're going to need a piece of styrofoam or foam board, whatever you want to call it. You're also going to need some washable markers, a piece of white paper. I prefer cardstock, but white paper just in general will work. And then you're also going to need a water bottle or something you can dampen your white paper with. And then I like to use a sponge to wipe off the excess. So that's what you're going to need this for. Last thing, you're also going to need a black Sharpie. So let's go ahead and get started with today's craft. So this one, like I mentioned, is really easy. The first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to grab your piece of styrofoam and your black Sharpie. We're going to go ahead and put our pattern down on our styrofoam first. So like I said, this could be any design you want it to be. I'm going to choose to just do some squiggly lines and maybe some circles. I like that. When you are doing this, you're going to want to make sure you're pressing down relatively firm when you're doing these squiggly lines. So you can see here, I drew my design, but again, this could be whatever you want it to be. Once you're done drawing your design, you actually are gonna go over it for a second time. So you're gonna go right on top of the lines you want. The reason for this is you really wanna make sure that those lines are defined, okay? And like I said, you're gonna wanna push down firm to make sure that you're not digging into the styrofoam, but you're kind of making a little indent into the styrofoam. So I'm quickly just going to trace over the lines that I already have laid down. If you don't have a Sharpie, you can actually do this with an ink pen as well. If you are going to use an ink pen, I recommend that you do maybe 2 different colors. So maybe lay it down first with the blue and then go over it with the black. All right, perfect. So I went ahead and traced over my outline for the second time, so I can pretty much put my Sharpie away. The next thing you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna wanna take out your washable markers. You're gonna wanna take your first color, whatever colors you choose to use, it's really up to you. And then you're just gonna start laying down some of that color. You can choose to do as many colors as you like, however you want. You just want to make sure that this gets laid on nice and thick. So if your markers are kind of dried out, it's really not going to work that well for you. You need to have nice, bright, bold markers, and the darker the colors, the easier it's going to transfer over to another piece of paper. So I like to pick some of the dark colors, put them down. Make sure that I have this on as a nice coat here. Go to my next color. And like I said, this is a great craft to let your kids do, especially when they're young and they're not coloring the greatest. This doesn't need to be perfect at all. All right, so now that you can see that I have my whole piece of foam colored, I'm gonna go ahead and do the next step, which is you're gonna take a piece of paper, and I like to use a water bottle because I think it just works out a little bit better for me. You're gonna want to dampen pretty good your piece of paper. So get it nice and wet, and then I kind of just take a sponge and wipe off the excess a little bit. That way it's not, you don't want it to be dripping, but you do want it to be pretty saturated. So then the wet side down, you're gonna put this right over your piece of styrofoam. And I like to smooth this out. I actually take my sponge back and go over it. That way I ensure that I'm pressing down evenly. And then you're gonna go ahead and remove your piece of paper, and you've just made yourself a print. So the great thing about this is this can be reused. So if I want to go ahead and take my markers and just recolor everything again, and wet a new piece of paper, I can make another print. So here's some of the ones I did yesterday. I wanted to show you some different samples. So this is what happens when you don't wet your paper quite thoroughly enough. You're not going to get as much color transfer as if you would wet your paper a little bit more. You tend to get more of that color payoff. So just keep that in mind. Otherwise, thank you for joining us. Hope you liked today's craft.